Hello, everybody. Welcome to the MetalRager666 channel. I'm Connor, and I'm the host for today. And today we've got a very, very special guest, and it's Fredrik from the band LANCER, who are originally from Sweden, if I'm not mistaken. Are you still in Sweden, or are you?
Yeah, we're still in Sweden. That's correct.
So you guys formed. I wouldn't say you're not like an old band, but you formed a decent. You're compared to lots of people in your genre. You're quite, you know, the new wave tradition of metal. You're one of the, I would say, you along with like Enforcer, you were sort of near the beginning. You were one of the first. So how does it feel that now when you're that this genre has sort of grown in like the past 10 years or so?
Well, I wouldn't really compare us to Enforcer to begin with, but I understand what you mean. Uh, there's like a movement in Sweden that's called the new wave of Swedish heavy metal. It's like a reference to the NWoBHM from
Yeah.
Britain. And of course, Enforcer is the leading band of that genre, along with a lot of other bands. But I think they are more into like classic heavy metal, and
Yeah.
I think we call ourselves a power metal band. But
Yeah.
of course, we started about the same time, so I definitely understand what you mean. But of course, it feels great. We're not really fond of the being called like, yeah, like a retro band,
Yeah.
like, and Enforcer has the same problem, I think. But I also understand that opinion, of course, because we sound very much like, like the old bands, obviously. And we also have like our productions of our albums also sound like it's from before we started, actually.
Mhm.
So it's not a very modern sound. But we try to keep, I don't know, we try to keep it modern in like, in that sense that it's still new music, and we don't try to copy the old bands.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, but it feels great anyway. Of course, we like being compared to the bigger bands, so it's fine,
Yeah, because
actually.
I was talking to the guys from Tail Gunner, if you know them,
Yeah.
they're like a small
Yes.
growing British band, and they suffer the same thing because they're like a lot. One I remember they got one review which was sort of like these guys should stop digging through their parents' like record collection, and they were like, but
Yeah.
we're just making music we enjoy. Like it's not we don't want to sound like the old bands. We just want to we have that same energy, but we're of course better productions and stuff make it
Oh yeah,
different.
exactly. Like, yeah, of course that kind of music started like in the 80s, but it's still relevant. So I don't want to call it retro, because
Yeah.
that's not what we're aiming for. We're not trying to recreate the 80s or the 90s or whatever. We just do the music that we love, so that's basically the thing.
Yeah. And so when you were sort of growing up and getting into music, what bands would you say sort of inspired you into this power metal like zone? Like what bands did you listen to?
All the big ones, of course. You can't deny that Halloween is a big influence to us, and Ed Guy, of course, and
Hmm.
Gamma Ray and Stratovarius, and all those kinds of bands, of course, the bigger ones. But I think that we have a lot of good Swedish power metal as well. Uh, I wouldn't call Hammerfall and Sabaton power metal, but of course we have listened to those bands too. But there are smaller bands in our genre. For example, a band called Nocturnal Rites. Have you heard of them?
I've heard the name, but I haven't
Yeah.
gone to listen to them.
It's sort of a more riff oriented power metal with like not that kind of super high pitched vocals, but more
Yeah.
like rock and roll vocals, if you get what I mean. So,
Yeah.
and they're totally a great band. There were another awesome band from Gothenburg in the early 2000s that's called Lost Horizon. Also very, very talented. So I really, yeah, I really like the smaller bands because they often make like music that um, that you can understand that they come from the Halloween
Yeah.
influence as well. But when they get their own touch of the music, that really feels like it's unique. Then it's worth like more to me for some reason. I don't know.
So is there like in Sweden, is there like a very big, because I know in Sweden is like one of the homes of metal if you look at other places, but is there like a very good, especially even like in the early 2000s, like an underground power metal scene that like sort of didn't make it farther that sort of like other people wouldn't know, if that makes sense.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sorry,
Sorry.
like, is there like in Sweden, is there like a
Yeah.
really like vibrant power metal scene that hasn't really made it outside? Because I know like Sabaton, of course, are massive, but is there more like your style that hasn't specifically isn't as popular outside of Sweden?
You mean right now or before?
Either or.
I don't know. Okay. Well, there was a huge power metal boom, in the early 2000s. Hammerfall started it in 1997, and after that, it just exploded. And then there were like tons of power metal bands out there. A lot of them from Sweden. A lot of them were really good, and some of them were really shitty. So that's why they didn't make it, because there were too many, and there were no way to like stand out from the like make your own thing, because everyone sounded the same. But there are a lot of good power metal bands that really didn't make it, definitely, and that's why I'm really glad that we started right now, because all of those bands have quit. So we're like the only band in Sweden that sounds like us at the moment. There are one band that's called the Bloodbound. You know them?
I think
they sound a lot of they sound like traditional power metal mixed with the Sabaton modern keyboards and stuff like that. Really good too. And so I think I would say, but they sound more modern, so they're not doing the thing that we do, actually. So I think that we are the only power metal band in Sweden that sounds the way we do right now. So that feels really great. Really works to our advantage.
Yeah. So of course, the big thing today, I'm guessing, especially for you, is you've got a brand new album out, which is very, very, very good. This is your first one, and I'm very sorry already for the pronunciations if I get anything up. With Pontus on drums and an easy one, Jack on vocals.
Yeah,
of course, it's normally a big change for a band. So was there like before they joined, was there any music written for this album, or was this music written sort of around them fully being in the band?
There were music written before. The song "Out of the Sun" was actually written by Isaac, our former vocalist. But that's and he actually wrote a couple of more songs before he quit, but we let those songs go because they weren't made for Jack. So we just kept "Out of the Sun" because it felt like such a good song, and it was already done. So there was no need to discard it, because it was finished. But and then I think that Purest Power was written before Isaac quit as well. But when Jack joined, we really felt that now we're going to write songs that actually fit his voice instead. So that's why we dumped a lot of Isaac's previous songs there. And I think Isaac has a little more high-pitched voice than Jack does. Jack has a little bit lower in his tone, but I think that works in advantage for our music as well. Makes them more like easy listening. So I think we just moved down the vocal lines a bit and didn't make them so high-pitched. And that was really one thing that we wanted to do even before Isaac quit. We got a few bad reviews because the songs on the Mastery album were too high pitched and was like kind of hard to listen to them. Some of the reviewers thought. So that was a thing that we wanted to do. So it felt really natural when Jack came in to just do it.
So did you sort of enjoy sort of the change up of writing for someone with a slightly lower register? And did you find that like that could help sort of progress your music more, or did you enjoy writing for that style of voice as like a change from the old one?
Yes, we do, definitely. That was actually, and it was not only one thing that we wanted to do. I think it was definitely the one thing that we had to do, and especially for me personally, because I really want to make music that when you write so high-pitched music, the audience that likes it becomes so much smaller than when you make music that is more easy listening. You get a wider audience.
Yeah.
So that was not to make it mainstream in any way. We just
Mhm.
wanted to make it more singable for regular people, actually.
Yeah. So I think that from your if you look at your albums, there has been quite a big gap between your last one in 2017 and then this one. What were some of the reasons for that? Was it like changing members? Was it COVID? Was it what were the reasons for the larger gap? Was it
It was both of those things. Those were the big things. It took like 2 years to find Jack. We asked a lot of different singers to come and try out with us. Some of them are pretty known and some of them lesser known, but they didn't really fit our music or they didn't want to join or whatever. It was a different reason with everybody. Uh, so after 2 years, we found Jack, and that was such a relief because I had almost lost my hope. We weren't gonna find anyone at all. So I thought that we're gonna have to quit the band. I think something like that. But when we found in such a relief and such fits so well to our music, I think. But exactly when we had found in COVID strike, so then then there were another 2 years that we couldn't really do anything. But we wrote songs anyway.
yeah.
We actually started to record Tempest while the COVID was still going on, so we managed to solve it. Uh, but then other things happened. When we were done with the recordings, the guy that was going to mix the album, he lost family members. They passed away, two of them in a very short amount of time, so he couldn't work for several months. So things just got more and more delayed, and when yeah, that, that's pretty much it. And when we got the record signed for the new record label, things with the promotion work and everything always takes a lot of
Yeah.
time too. So that's why it took six years.
When in that 6 years, have you written like a lot more songs that were on the album, or was sort of your main push just to finish this album and then start the next one?
No, we really just there. Okay, there were like one or two songs that we didn't work through enough, so they didn't make the cut to the album. But we mostly we just write just enough songs to fit an entire album and
Yeah.
just make the best that we can. But immediately after we're done with the recording, then the process starts again because the the music mind never stops to function. So we
Yeah.
actually have a couple of new songs for the next album already.
Well, that's good. Um, so did are any of the songs because did you write all of the songs before COVID, or were some of the songs written like during COVID? And how did COVID affect like how you wrote the songs? Did it like were the lyrics change for it, or how did musically writing in COVID like affect the new album?
I don't think that it affected the music in any way at all. But of course, it was just harder to get together because we like to write songs while we rehearse. So that was hard, of course, but we managed to do it. So I think more than half of it got written during COVID, actually, and all the lyrics are very much a bit darker than they have been on all our previous albums. But that really doesn't have anything to do with the COVID because it has more to do with that Isaac quit the band because he wrote all the lyrics before, and now some of us had to step up and write them instead. So the themes changed. Uh, Isaac wrote a lot about the classical power metal stuff, like angels and demons and
Yeah,
monsters and battles and stuff like that. But when I write lyrics, when if I try to write about those things, it turns out so cheesy and cliche. So I can't do that at all. I'm not even gonna try.
yeah,
So I have to write about stuff that comes naturally to me. So then I write about stuff from the real world, pretty much, and then it always turns to the darker stuff. Not that I'm dark as a person. I just need to write about stuff that's
yeah.
real, that has a purpose. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah, no, I understand. How did it feel writing lyrics for the first? Have you written lyrics in the past and they just didn't show up on albums? Or have you written stuff on other albums? Or but if like this was your first proper time, how did it feel like having to step up to that plate and start writing lyrics basically from scratch?
It's a lot of pressure. It was actually my first time. It was, and a lot of pressure, of course, because it's very important to me that I like my lyrics myself, like personally. Uh, it doesn't matter to me what anyone else think. Actually, I just need them to be good for myself. So it took a lot of time to write the lyrics that I did. And I think that Isaac could just spit out a lyric in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But to write a song, it takes days for me to write the lyrics for just one song. So yeah, it takes time, but I'm really happy with what I did. I think that they are, for me, they are equally important for as the music. So music lyrics equally for me.
I completely agree as well.
Yeah.
So do you also write all of the music, or what's the writing of the music like in the band? Like who does what?
No, not all of it. I have written like I don't think I think like 50 or 60% of the album. And then the other guitar player, Evo, he has written like uh, almost the rest. But one of the songs, "Blind Faith," is written by our bass player Emil, and a couple of lyrics is written by Jack
Yeah.
or Pontus. So it's like a teamwork, but mostly from the two guitar players in the band,
Could you see
I
on a
would say.
sorry? Could you see on a future album Pontus or Jack writing more lyrics and like sharing the lyrical things, or do you think going forward you will be sort of still the primary lyricist in the band?
They are more than welcome to write. There's no problem about that. We don't have like egos in that way. It just came natural this time because both of them were new in the band, so they didn't dare
Yeah.
to do anything. But in the future, of course, they are more than welcome to write. But I very much enjoy it, so I'm gonna do as much as I can anyway.
Yeah. Just another question about sort of like recording on the album. I know Jack in his other band passed, but I think it's still, is he still in Vandor, or is that like, yeah, he plays guitar in that band. Does he
Yeah.
play any guitar on this album, or does he just primarily be the singer?
No guitar playing from Jack at all. He's
Right.
just a singer, so he performs all the lead vocals and all the choirs as well. And the choirs are also dubbed by another guy called David. So there's like basically only Jack plus a choir guy.
Mm-hmm. What so when you were writing this album, what feelings were you trying to go for? Were you trying to go for, I know you said already you were going for more darker. Were there any stories that were going through your mind, or any like certain stuff for certain songs, or like what things drove you to write what you wrote on the album?
Um, it was more like a coincidence and what came to mind when I wrote like the lyrics and stuff like that. But it's very much about stuff that is wrong with the world, like crazy world leaders,
Mm-hmm.
crazy religion, and very much about like human problems like depression or anxiety and stuff like that as well. So. Yeah, it sounds so dark. It
Yeah,
wasn't supposed to be like that, but you then don't have to take it like too serious in
yeah.
that matter. It's but yeah, I think it turned out really great actually.
And do you like the contrast between like your first three albums being a lot more? I know this new album is not, before people who haven't listened to it think it's not like this dark, depressing album. It's still like
No,
upbeat with darker lyrics. But do you like the contrast between like the first three having more upbeat lyrics, more fancy lyrics, turning into this one being more like real, if that makes sense?
yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's only natural when you switch singer,
Yeah,
so it's totally fine. It has happened to a lot of bands before, like when Halloween switched from Michael
yeah,
Kiske to Andy Darius, it was totally different, and people still bought it. So
yeah.
I think that it's no problem at all. People will either like it or don't like it, and it's fine either way. But this is the way that we are going right now, and I think that we will develop this sound even more on the next album.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe involve a little more darker riffing and even more catchy choruses
Yeah.
and just make what's coming up to us at the moment.
Just a question about a certain song. Probably my favorite song on the album is the song "We Furiously Rain." I really like
Yeah.
that song. It might be one of the heaviest songs you've done, with the sort of the riffing and stuff. Do you think in the future you're going to keep going down that path of making heavier riffing, heavier songs, or do you think you're still going to stay with the more in the more like not light-hearted power metal, but the more like Halloweenish like power metal?
Uh, I think there are gonna be always gonna be a couple of Halloweenish power metal song on every album because that is where we come from.
Yeah.
But with Furiously Rain is a song of mine. I wrote that, so thank you very much for liking it. I definitely have more ideas from the same place that came from. I already have another riff to the next album that's even heavier and darker.
Yeah.
And that is also the only song on Tempest that we used keyboards on, like in the intro riff there. And it really turned out great as well. So I might do another thing like that on the next album too. But yeah, more from that. I think I know that Emil, the bass player, also he comes more from like a thrash metal and black metal background. So he likes it very much when we do like heavier riff based songs. So definitely more of that in the future.
I mean, that's where a lot of power metal comes from in the first place. If you listen to stuff like Walls of Jericho and like early Blind Guardian, it's much more like thrash speed metal that has a power metal tinge to it rather than the other stuff.
Yes,
so that could be quite
absolutely.
Yeah. Overall, you have, I wouldn't say your songs are long, but they're like slightly longer than a lot of other bands. Could you see in the future you writing like an epic, or do you think that's sort of something that you wouldn't want to write, like a big long song that's got many parts, or would you rather stick to a style you've been writing this entire time?
We actually did an epic on our second album, the second Storm album. It's called Aton, like the Egyptian sun god. That I think it's over 10 minutes or exactly 10 minutes long or something like that. But that was a song that Isaac wrote, and I like it very much. It's an awesome song and definitely maybe the best one on that entire album in my opinion. Of course we may do something like that in the future too. But I think it's so hard to keep it together. Like when you have a lot of different parts, they just have to make sense all the time. You can't just stick in the parts and make a long song without any red thread throughout it. So it's so much work and it's so hard to do it. But I would never say never.
Yeah,
it might happen, but we'll see.
Because I was saying to my friend about long songs. It's like long songs are a weird thing. The longer you go, the better the song could get, but the more chances it has to just, if one part goes wrong, the whole thing falls apart. And
yeah, yeah, definitely, totally right. I totally agree on that one. Definitely.
So I know it's only been a day, but how would you say, have you had any like fan reactions, people like messaging you? How has the reaction to the album been on this first day?
We have had some fan reaction, definitely. I think, I don't know, when if fans don't like it, I don't think that they are going to write and tell us that they don't like it. So all the feedback that we have gotten so far is, oh, this is such a great album, I love it already, and stuff like that. So only positive feedback at the moment. Yeah, it feels really good just to be out with a new album.
And would you say being on, a new record label, has it helped your sort of like promotion standings? Have you felt like, it's helping you reach more people, would you say?
Yeah. I love it to be on Fireflash Records because, of course, our last album, Mastery, was released on Nuclear Blast. And obviously they are the biggest heavy metal label in the entire world. So of course Fireflash can't match that. They have like 3 million followers on YouTube and stuff like that, and Fireflash has like 3,000 or something. So of course we are on a smaller label, but they are so much more devoted to us. Do a lot of promotion work for us and just make us a top priority, which Nuclear Blast did not. We were like the smallest band on that entire label. So I think they did like minimum for us and just let us go. So a little bit sad, but I'm super happy to be a part of Fireflash. That was like my go-to label for this album. It was the only label that we contacted actually with Tempest, and Marcus just wanted to work with us again. So it was the best thing that could happen for LANCER, actually.
Yeah, I would agree. Fireflash, it may not be the biggest, but if you look at how much they promote bands and just the bands they have on there, I feel like if one person goes on and likes one band by them, they will like a lot of them, and it sort of helps you reach more people that will sort of become
Yeah.
more diehard fans and people that will just check you out once and then never again.
No, oh, exactly. I think you're definitely right.
So after this album, going on more, to the future, near future, has anything started for the next album? Have you started writing? Have you started recording it? Not recording it, that's not
No.
riffing, like any music been written for it? How is the new album looking so far?
We haven't gotten together and started to work on it, but I have two new song ideas done at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I have a riff that's like more darker than the Furiously Rain riff.
Yeah.
I have one chorus that is really catchy. It sounds right now it sounds very much like a Toto chorus actually.
Mm-hmm.
I love Toto; it's one of
I
my
love
favorite
Toto as
bands.
well.
But yeah, but we're gonna make it more metal. But the vocal line will be very much Toto
Yeah.
actually. So I really look forward to start to work on the next album. Of course, it's really great. Always feels great to be creative and work on new stuff.
Mm-hmm. Have there been any ideas for where you're going to tour this year? Any bands you're going to tour with so far, or is it still slightly up in the air?
We have I don't we have a few wishes, I would say,
Mhm.
and we are working on making those wishes come true. And that's all I can say right now,
Fair enough.
actually. Yeah.
Um, if just a theoretical question, are there any countries you would like to tour in that you haven't before? Just
We have never been to the United Kingdom, never ever. So that would be like definitely a goal for
Mhm.
this album cycle. Would love to go to England, especially. Uh, we actually we have a couple of friends in England when we with the Mastery album. We toured Europe together with Hammerfall and Glory Hammer.
Yeah.
And I think Glory Hammer are from England and Scotland. So it will be really nice just to meet up with those guys again. I haven't
Yeah.
seen them in years, so that would be cool. But definitely touring in England would be awesome, definitely.
Mhm.
But just to go back to Europe and go back, we have been to Japan once, and that was totally amazing. And we have never been to South America, and I hear the Brazilian fans are
Yeah.
crazy as well. So that would be also a dream come true.
Oh, I'd happily have you come to England, specifically London,
Yeah,
anytime. Would love to come see you.
definitely. Yeah, that would be a goal, definitely.
Um, would you say there are any like just now going on? Are there any new bands that you have been listening to that either have inspired you or just that like you're seeing them and you're like these guys like are there any like new bands that have just recently come out or growing that you think like they're really cool and you would want to maybe tour with them or you want to like that have inspired you to write your music differently? Anything like that?
Oh my God, I have to think now. That was a hard question. No, not. I don't think that there is a new band that has inspired our music in that way.
Hmm.
We always do what we want to do ourselves anyway. But oh my God, new bands. I recently became a father, like not recently, but 3 years ago.
Hmm.
And since we had a kid, I had so little time to listen to new music. Uh, and I and his our son is totally awesome. I love him so much. But when he grows up and becomes a little older and gets interests of his own, I think that I might be able to return to
Yeah.
listening to music myself. But I can't say anything about new bands right now. Actually, sorry,
That's all right.
because I don't have the time to listen to them.
But yeah, just sort of coming like towards the end of the interview and stuff. What would you say are the main? Would you say for this like tour and stuff, are there or like this album cycle? Are there any main goals you have for like where you want to go and what you want to do with this album?
We want to come and go back to Europe. Actually, that's like the main thing. We want to go on European tour again,
Mhm.
because it was such an amazing time last time. So we need to do it again. Uh, but as I said, tour in more countries, in countries that we haven't been in before.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a goal. We also want to do like the next summer for the festival season. Want to do a couple of the bigger ones. Of course, would love to come to all the big ones in Germany, and like is Bloodstock thing still a thing
Yeah,
in England?
Bloodstock, I think, is on it. So Bloodstock is right now, actually, I think.
Oh, it is.
Bloodstock's
Okay.
right now.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe Bloodstock next year will be totally awesome. But like all the famous festivals will be really really cool, or just a couple of them, or one of them, or anything. We are happy with what we get.
I think you would fit in. Have you heard of the festival? I think it's in Germany. Keep It True. I think it's Keep It True.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't. No, it was Bang Your Head that the quit. I think not. I think Keep It True is still around.
Yeah, because Keep It True, I think it's only on its like second one, or so. It's got loads of like smaller bands on it.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
think,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like it's very much more like a. Have you heard of Hells for Heroes in the States?
No.
That's like the big traditional metal
Okay.
like festival in the States. It's sort of like that, but in Europe. So it's
Okay.
like, I
Nice.
think this year, I think Doro Petch is like headlining,
Yeah.
but you've got
Okay.
loads of small bands. I know Tailgunner are on the bill, Ambush are on the bill, Enforcer are on the bill.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those that like loads of people who are like more like traditional metal or power metal. That's where
Okay.
they play.
Yeah, it sounds really fitting for us. We need
Yeah.
to contact them definitely.
So just for people who maybe don't know as much about you or stuff, just as a big final question, how would you sum up your band and sort of the music you do in just a couple sentences?
Okay. Or if you're familiar with the term power metal, as power metal sounded in the
Yeah.
beginning, like 80s Halloween, that's where we come from. But we have also involved like newer stuff in the same genre, like mostly the German bands, of course. Ed Guy is a big influence. Also Brazilian band Angra.
I love Angra.
Uh,
I saw them.
yeah, I love
I saw
Angra
them
as well.
recently, and they were awesome.
Yeah, I love them so much. So it's like it's like that, but with a huge Swedish touch on it, I would say. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's that's how we
It's what it
sound, in
is.
my opinion.
But yeah, well, thank you for being here with me tonight, or
Thank you.
wherever time it is for you over there.
Yeah.
Um, and thank you everyone for watching. And if you could like, subscribe, share this with all your friends, spread the word of heavy metal throughout the world. Thank you. Goodbye.